In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, where humanity's survival hangs by a thread, there exists a cadre of individuals whose very presence instills both fear and loyalty in equal measure. These are the commissars of the Officio Prefectus, the iron-willed guardians of morale and discipline within the Astra Militarum. Their unwavering devotion to the Emperor and uncompromising methods have become legendary across the vastness of the Imperium. Imagine a battlefield where millions of soldiers face unimaginable horrors. Amid the chaos and carnage, a figure stands tall, adorned in a crimson sash and peaked cap. This imposing individual represents more than just military authority. They embody the very will of the Emperor himself. With a bolt pistol in one hand and a power sword in the other, commissars serve as the linchpin that holds the Imperial Guard together in the face of overwhelming odds. The role of these political officers extends far beyond mere battlefield presence. They are the embodiment of Imperial doctrine, tasked with ensuring that every guardsman fights with unwavering loyalty and unshakable faith. From the scorching deserts of distant worlds to the frozen wastelands of ice planets, commissars can be found wherever the Imperium's armies march to war. Their influence permeates every aspect of a guardsman's life. Through fiery speeches and personal examples of heroism, these officers inspire ordinary men and women to perform extraordinary feats of valor. Yet, their methods are not always gentle. The threat of summary execution for cowardice or heresy looms large, a stark reminder of the price of failure in the eyes of the Imperium. Delving into the world of commissars reveals a complex tapestry of duty, sacrifice, and unyielding determination. These individuals are not born, but forged through rigorous training and indoctrination. The Schola Progenium, where orphans of Imperial servants are raised to serve, produces some of the finest commissars in the galaxy. Here, young cadets learn not only the art of war, but also the weight of responsibility that comes with their office. As we explore the depths of the Officio Prefectus, we'll uncover the intricate web of traditions, protocols, and expectations that shape the lives of these remarkable individuals. From their iconic attire to their unwavering belief in the Imperial Creed, every aspect of a commissar's existence is dedicated to the preservation of humanity's domain among the stars. To comprehend the vital role of commissars, one must first grasp the sheer scale and brutality of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Humanity stands on the brink of extinction, beset by countless threats from within and without. The Imperium of Man, a vast galaxy-spanning empire, fights a constant war for survival against alien races, demonic incursions, and the insidious spread of chaos. In this bleak future, the Astra Militarum, also known as the Imperial Guard, forms the backbone of humanity's defense. Billions of ordinary men and women are conscripted to fight across countless war zones, often facing enemies far beyond their comprehension. The sheer psychological toll of such warfare would break most individuals, leading to mass desertion or worse, heresy. Enter the commissars, whose existence is intrinsically tied to the Imperium's desperate need for unwavering loyalty and iron discipline. These political officers serve as a crucial linchpin, holding together the fragile human psyche in the face of cosmic horrors. Their role extends beyond mere military structure. They are the embodiment of the Emperor's will on the battlefield. The context of the commissar's importance lies in the unique challenges faced by the Imperium. Unlike the superhuman space marines or the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus, the average Imperial Guardsman is just a regular human. They lack genetic enhancements or advanced weaponry, relying instead on sheer numbers and faith in the Emperor to overcome impossible odds. This disparity between the average soldier and the threats they face necessitates the presence of commissars. These officers bridge the gap between mortal limitations and the Imperium's unyielding demands. Through their actions, they transform masses of frightened conscripts into a formidable fighting force capable of standing against the galaxy's most terrifying foes. The historical context of commissars draws parallels to political officers in various real-world militaries, particularly those of totalitarian regimes. However, in the grim darkness of the far future, their role has been elevated to near-mythical status. They are not mere enforcers of political doctrine, but living symbols of humanity's determination to survive against all odds. Within the complex hierarchy of the Imperium, Commissars occupy a unique position. They operate outside the standard chain of command, answering only to the Officio Prefectus and, ultimately, to the Emperor himself. This independence allows them to maintain order and loyalty, even when military leadership falters, ensuring that the Imperium's goals are always prioritized over individual or factional interests. The context of their training is equally crucial. Commissars are not born but made through a grueling process that begins in childhood. The Schola Progenium, where they are raised and indoctrinated, instills in them an unshakable faith and a deep understanding of human psychology. This background enables them to effectively motivate, inspire, and, when necessary, terrify those under their charge. In the broader narrative of Warhammer 40,000, Commissars serve as a lens through which players and readers can explore the harsh realities of life in the Imperium. Their stories often highlight the moral ambiguities and necessary evils that characterize this dystopian future. Through their eyes, we witness the true cost of maintaining humanity's dominion among the stars. The importance of Commissars extends beyond the battlefield. In a society plagued by corruption, mutation, and the ever-present threat of chaos, they stand as bastions of purity and devotion. Their unwavering adherence to imperial doctrine serves as a rallying point for civilians and soldiers alike, a reminder of the virtues that the Imperium strives to uphold in a universe that constantly tests its resolve. The origins of the Commissariat trace back to the tumultuous era of the Horus Heresy, a cataclysmic civil war that nearly tore the Imperium asunder. In the aftermath of this devastating conflict, the Emperor of Mankind, grievously wounded and interred upon the Golden Throne, could no longer directly lead his forces. This vacuum of leadership, coupled with the lingering threat of betrayal, necessitated the creation of a new breed of officers to ensure unwavering loyalty among the imperial forces. Initially, the role of maintaining morale and discipline fell to the Commissars of the Imperial Army, the precursor to the Astra Militarum. These early political officers were tasked with rooting out sedition and enforcing compliance with imperial edicts. However, their effectiveness varied greatly, and the system was ripe for abuse and corruption. The true foundation of the modern commissariat came with the sweeping military reforms implemented by Lord Commander Solar Macarius during the 41st millennium. Recognizing the need for a standardized and incorruptible corps of political officers, Macarius established the Officio Prefectus as a separate entity within the Adeptus Terra. This new organization would be responsible for training and deploying commissars across the vast expanse of the Imperium. Central to the development of the commissariat was the implementation of the Schola Progenium system. These specialized training facilities were designed to mold orphans of imperial servants into the future leaders of the Imperium. Within the hallowed halls of the Schola, young cadets undergo rigorous physical training, intensive indoctrination in imperial doctrine, and extensive education in military strategy and human psychology. The curriculum of aspiring commissars is notoriously demanding. Cadets are subjected to grueling physical challenges that push them to their limits, simulating the harsh conditions they will face on countless battlefields. Psychological conditioning forms a core component of their training, instilling an unshakable faith in the Emperor and an unwavering commitment to duty. One of the most crucial aspects of a commissar's education is the study of imperial history, with a particular focus on acts of heroism and sacrifice. Cadets are regaled with tales of legendary figures like Commissar Sebastian Yarrick, whose indomitable will and tactical acumen made him a hero of the Imperium. These stories serve not only as inspiration, but as templates for the cadets to emulate in their future roles. The evolution of the commissariat's role over the millennia reflects the changing needs of the Imperium. Initially focused primarily on maintaining discipline through fear, the Corps has adapted to incorporate more nuanced approaches to leadership. Modern commissars are trained to be not just enforcers, but also inspirational figures capable of rallying troops through charisma and personal example. Throughout their history, commissars have played pivotal roles in some of the Imperium's most significant conflicts. During the 13th Black Crusade, when the forces of chaos threatened to overwhelm the Cadian Gate, commissars were instrumental in holding the line against seemingly insurmountable odds. Their presence turned what could have been a rout into a defiant last stand, buying precious time for Imperial reinforcements to arrive. The reputation of the Commissariat has been shaped by both its successes and its excesses. Tales of commissars executing cowardly officers or decimating units to restore morale have become legendary, inspiring both fear and respect among the ranks of the Imperial Guard. However, these stories often overshadow the more nuanced work of commissars in maintaining unit cohesion and fostering genuine loyalty to the Imperium. In recent centuries, the role of commissars has expanded beyond the traditional confines of the Astra Militarum. Specialized commissars now serve alongside other Imperial organizations, including the Adeptus Mechanicus and even some chapters of the Adeptus Astartes. This broadening of their influence reflects the Imperium's recognition of the Commissariat's value in maintaining ideological purity across all branches of its vast war machine. The cultural impact of commissars extends far beyond the military sphere. In Imperial propaganda and popular culture, they are often portrayed as larger-than-life heroes, embodiments of human determination in the face of a hostile universe. This carefully cultivated image serves to reinforce the Commissariat's authority and to inspire citizens across the Imperium to emulate their unwavering devotion to duty. Throughout the blood-soaked history of the Imperium, commissars have been at the forefront of numerous pivotal events, shaping the course of human destiny among the stars. Their actions, both heroic and ruthless, have left an indelible mark on the annals of Imperial history. The Macarian Crusade stands as a testament to the Commissariat's ability to maintain order and drive across vast campaigns. As Lord Solar Macarius led his forces to conquer 1,000 worlds, commissars played a crucial role in keeping the diverse elements of his armies united in purpose. Their presence ensured that soldiers from disparate worlds and cultures fought as one, propelling the Imperium to its greatest expansion since the Great Crusade. During the infamous Sabbat Worlds Crusade, commissars faced some of their greatest challenges. The forces of chaos had deeply entrenched themselves in the sector, corrupting entire populations. Commissar Ibram Gaunt emerged as a legendary figure during this conflict. His leadership of the Tanith First and Only, better known as Gaunt's Ghosts, showcased the potential for commissars to inspire through more than just fear. Gaunt's tactical acumen and genuine care for his troops revolutionized perceptions of what a commissar could be. The Second War for Armageddon saw commissars at their most iconic, as Orc war boss Gazgkul Thrakas Wag threatened to overwhelm the Hive world. Commissar Sebastian Yarrick became a living symbol of human defiance. His unwavering resolve in the face of greenskin hordes inspired millions. Yarrick's famous stand at Hive Hades, where he single-handedly held the gates against waves of orcs, cemented his status as a hero of the Imperium and a paragon of the Commissariat. The 13th Black Crusade brought unprecedented challenges for the Commissariat. As Abaddon the Despoiler's forces poured from the Eye of Terror, commissars found themselves fighting not just against external foes, but also the creeping despair that threatened to engulf the defenders of Cadia. Reports tell of commissars standing atop the ruins of fallen fortresses, their impassioned speeches rallying broken troops to impossible acts of valor. Even as Cadia fell, the actions of these political officers ensured that its defenders died standing, their sacrifices buying crucial time for the Imperium. The Indomitus Crusade, launched in the wake of Cadia's fall, saw a new generation of commissars facing the challenges of a galaxy torn asunder. With the Imperium split in half by the Great Rift, these officers found themselves operating with unprecedented autonomy. Many became de facto leaders of isolated Imperial forces, maintaining order and faith in regions cut off from Terra's light. Their adaptability in these dark times proved crucial in holding together the fragmented remnants of imperial authority. On Vigilis, a vital staging point for crossing the Great Rift, Commissars played a key role in coordinating the planet's defense against multiple threats. As Genestealer cults emerged from the shadows and Chaos forces laid siege, Commissars were instrumental in rooting out infiltrators and bolstering the resolve of the defenders. Their actions ensured that this crucial world remained in Imperial hands, maintaining a tenuous lifeline between the two halves of the sundered Imperium. The plague wars of Ultramar tested the Commissariat's resolve against a foe that targeted not just the body, but the very spirit of humanity. As Nurgle's forces spread despair and disease across Guilliman's realm, Commissars found themselves combating an insidious form of corruption. Their unwavering faith proved a potent weapon against the spiritual rot of chaos, their mere presence acting as a bulwark against the creeping hopelessness that accompanied Nurgle's plagues. In the wake of the Cicatrix Maledictum's formation, many worlds found themselves isolated and besieged. On Volastad, a single commissar named Tain rallied the population of an entire hive city against a Tyrannid splinter fleet. For months, she coordinated the defense, executing any who showed weakness while personally leading counterattacks against the Zenos swarms. Her actions allowed the planet to hold out until Imperial reinforcements arrived, saving millions of lives and countless resources. The Commissariat's influence extended even to campaigns led by the Adeptus Astartes. During the Badab War, Commissars attached to Loyalist Guard regiments found themselves mediating between different Space Marine chapters. Their unique position outside the standard chain of command allowed them to bridge divides and maintain focus on the broader Imperial cause, even as tensions between the chapters threatened to derail the war effort. On the Forge world of Graia, Commissar Draven faced one of the most unique challenges in the Corps' history. An Orc invasion coincided with a Chaos incursion and a Necron awakening, creating a three-way war for the planet. Draven's ability to rapidly shift priorities and rally troops against multiple Zenos and heretical threats showcased the adaptability required of modern Commissars in an increasingly complex war zone. The role of Commissars within the Imperium's vast war machine is multifaceted and complex, extending far beyond their notorious reputation as executioners of the cowardly. A deeper analysis reveals a cadre of individuals who serve as the binding force between the Imperium's grand ideals and the harsh realities faced by its countless soldiers. At its core, the Commissariat functions as a vital psychological tool in the Imperium's arsenal. In a universe where humans routinely face incomprehensible horrors, the presence of a Commissar serves as a tangible reminder of the Emperor's will. This psychological anchor proves crucial in maintaining the sanity and resolve of troops who might otherwise break under the strain of constant warfare. The effectiveness of Commissars stems from their unique position within the Imperial hierarchy. Operating outside the standard chain of command allows them to act as impartial observers and enforcers of Imperial doctrine. This independence enables Commissars to make difficult decisions without being swayed by personal loyalties or local politics, ensuring that the broader goals of the Imperium always take precedence. However, this position of authority also places immense psychological strain on the Commissars themselves. They must constantly balance the need for discipline with the practical realities of warfare. The weight of knowing that their decisions can mean life or death for thousands of soldiers creates a breed of officers who are often seen as aloof or detached. This emotional distance is, in many ways, a necessary survival mechanism for those tasked with making such monumental choices. The training regimen of Commissars provides fascinating insights into the Imperium's approach to leadership. Unlike traditional military officers who focus primarily on tactics and strategy, Commissar cadets undergo intensive indoctrination in Imperial philosophy and human psychology. This holistic approach produces individuals who are as much spiritual leaders as they are military authorities. An often overlooked aspect of the Commissariat is its role in maintaining cultural cohesion within the diverse forces of the Astra Militarum. With regiments drawn from countless worlds, each with its own traditions and beliefs, commissars serve as a unifying force. They act as carriers of a standardized imperial culture, helping to forge a shared identity among troops who might otherwise have little in common. The psychological impact of a commissar's presence on the battlefield cannot be overstated. Their distinctive appearance, the long coat, the peaked cap, the bolt pistol at their side, has been carefully cultivated to evoke a mix of awe and fear. This visual impact is a weapon in itself, often enough to steel the resolve of wavering troops or give pause to would-be deserters. Yet, the most effective commissars understand that their role goes beyond mere intimidation. Many have learned to balance the threat of execution with genuine leadership skills. These officers become true force multipliers, inspiring troops to feats of valor through personal example and charismatic leadership. The legends that grow around such commissars can turn even a small force into a formidable fighting unit. The ethical implications of the commissariat's methods have long been a subject of debate within the Imperium. The practice of summary executions, while effective in maintaining short-term discipline, can lead to resentment and fear among the ranks. More nuanced commissars have begun to employ a wider range of disciplinary tools, recognizing that a motivated soldier fights better than a terrified one. An analysis of battlefield reports reveals that units accompanied by commissars consistently show higher combat effectiveness and lower rates of desertion. However, these same units often suffer higher casualty rates, a testament to the commissariat's unyielding stance against retreat. This willingness to spend lives in pursuit of victory is emblematic of the Imperium's broader strategic philosophy, where individual lives are weighed against the survival of humanity as a whole. The role of commissars in shaping imperial propaganda cannot be overlooked. Their exploits are often exaggerated and widely publicized, creating larger-than-life figures that capture the public imagination. These stories serve a dual purpose, inspiring citizens with tales of heroism while also reinforcing the message that disloyalty and cowardice will be swiftly and harshly punished. In recent centuries, the commissariat has shown a remarkable ability to adapt to the changing nature of warfare in the 41st millennium. As the Imperium faces increasingly diverse threats, from tyrannid hive fleets to the insidious spread of genestealer cults, commissars have expanded their expertise beyond simple battlefield motivation. Many now receive specialized training in recognizing signs of chaos corruption or genestealer infestation, adding the role of spiritual and biological watchdog to their already considerable responsibilities. The relationship between commissars and the common soldiers they oversee is a study in contradictions. While feared and often resented, many commissars become respected and even beloved figures within their units. This paradox speaks to the complexity of human psychology in the face of constant danger. Soldiers may rail against the harsh discipline imposed by their commissar, yet simultaneously draw comfort from the certainty and order this discipline provides. Perhaps the most profound impact of the commissariat lies in its role as a mirror to the Imperium itself. In the actions and decisions of these officers, we see reflected the harsh necessities and moral compromises required to maintain human civilization in a hostile universe. The commissar, standing resolute in the face of unimaginable horrors, serves as a potent symbol of humanity's determination to survive, no matter the cost. The commissariat, by its very nature, stands at the center of numerous conflicts within the Imperium of man. These clashes of ideology, duty, and survival paint a complex picture of the various factions and perspectives that shape the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. Foremost among these conflicts is the eternal struggle between the commissars and the rank-and-file soldiers of the Astra Militarum. On one side stand the commissars, unyielding in their dedication to imperial doctrine and unwavering in their belief that victory must be achieved at any cost. Opposing them are the countless men and women of the Imperial Guard, ordinary humans thrust into extraordinary circumstances, fighting not just for the Imperium, but for their own survival. This tension manifests in myriad ways on the battlefield. A guardsman's instinct for self-preservation often clashes with a commissar's demand for unwavering courage. Tales abound of soldiers attempting to flee from unwinnable battles, only to be gunned down by their own political officers. Yet, this conflict is not always so clear-cut. Many veterans come to appreciate the steadying presence of a skilled commissar, recognizing that discipline and resolve are often the only thing standing between them and annihilation. Another significant point of contention lies between the commissariat and the traditional military leadership of the Astra Militarum. Regimental officers, trained in the arts of strategy and tactics, frequently find themselves at odds with commissars who prioritize ideological purity over pragmatic military decisions. This clash of perspectives can lead to heated debates in command tents across the galaxy, as colonels and generals attempt to balance strategic necessities with the unyielding demands of their political counterparts. The relationship between commissars and space marines presents a unique dynamic. While Adeptus Astartes chapters operate largely autonomously, joint operations with the Astra Militarum often bring these transhuman warriors into contact with the Officio Prefectus. Space Marines, with their superhuman abilities and unwavering loyalty, rarely require the motivational methods employed by commissars. This can lead to friction, as commissars struggle to assert their authority in the presence of these living legends. Within the ecclesiarchy, opinions on the commissariat are divided. Many priests see commissars as vital instruments in maintaining the spiritual health of the imperial war machine. Others, however, view them as competitors in the realm of moral guidance, leading to subtle power struggles over the hearts and minds of the faithful. This theological debate often plays out in the field, where chaplains and commissars must find ways to cooperate despite their overlapping spheres of influence. The Adeptus Mechanicus presents another fascinating facet of this conflict. Tech priests, with their logic-driven pursuit of knowledge, often find the zealotry of commissars to be inefficient or irrational. Conversely, many commissars view the Mechanicus with suspicion, wary of any ideology that doesn't place the Emperor at its center. When Skitarii legions fight alongside the Astra Militarum, these philosophical differences can create tension in the ranks. Inquisitors, those shadowy agents of the Emperor's will, have a complex relationship with the commissariat. Both organizations are dedicated to rooting out heresy and maintaining imperial rule, yet their methods and jurisdictions often overlap. This can lead to conflicts of authority, particularly when an inquisitor's broader investigation clashes with a commissar's immediate battlefield concerns. The common citizens of the Imperium view commissars through a lens of both fear and admiration. Imperial propaganda paints these officers as heroic figures, embodiments of loyalty and sacrifice. Yet, in worlds where conscription is a fact of life, families may curse the name of the commissar who drives their loved ones to their deaths. This dichotomy creates a societal tension that underlies much of the Imperium's internal politics. Zenos races, particularly those like the Orcs or Tyranids, rarely distinguish between commissars and other human soldiers. However, more psychically attuned species such as the Eldar may recognize the unique role these officers play. Some Farseers have been known to target commissars specifically, recognizing their importance in maintaining imperial morale. Chaos forces present perhaps the most direct ideological opposition to the commissariat. Traitor guardsmen, having thrown off the shackles of imperial discipline, harbor a particular hatred for their former taskmasters. Chaos Space Marines, especially those of the Word-Bearers Legion, see commissars as embodiments of the Imperium's false faith, marking them for particularly gruesome fates. Within the commissariat itself, different schools of thought create internal conflicts. Some officers adhere strictly to the old ways, believing that fear and discipline are the only tools needed to ensure compliance. Others advocate for a more nuanced approach, arguing that inspiration and leadership are equally important in the modern era of warfare. This ideological divide can lead to disparate tactics and strategies, even within the same campaign. The Officio Prefectus also finds itself in a delicate balance with other branches of the Adeptus Terra. The Administratum, responsible for the logistical nightmare of running a galaxy-spanning empire, often clashes with commissars over resource allocation and strategic priorities. The Officio Assassinorum, while rarely in direct conflict, represents a silent counterpoint to the commissariat's public displays of authority. Planetary governors and local authorities present another front in the ongoing conflicts surrounding the commissariat. While most imperial worlds welcome the presence of these officers as a sign of the emperor's favor, some view them as unwelcome interlopers in local affairs. Commissars must often navigate complex political landscapes, balancing their duty to the Imperium with the need to cooperate with local power structures. Lastly, there exists an internal conflict within each commissar, a battle between their humanity and the unyielding persona they must present to the world. Many struggle with the weight of their actions, questioning in private the harsh necessities they enforce in public. This personal war, fought in the depths of each commissar's soul, is perhaps the most poignant and least visible of all the conflicts surrounding these iconic figures of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. The climax of commissar influence in the Warhammer 40,000 universe is not a single moment, but rather a series of pivotal events that showcase the true potential and impact of these formidable officers. These instances represent the zenith of commissarial power, where their actions have shaped the fate of entire worlds and campaigns. One such defining moment occurred during the defense of Cadia in the 13th Black Crusade. As Abaddon the Despoiler's forces laid siege to this vital fortress world, the role of commissars reached unprecedented importance. With waves of chaos cultists and demon engines assaulting the planet's defenses, morale became as crucial as munitions. Commissar General Jamis Beck emerged as a key figure in this desperate hour. Recognizing the unique psychological threat posed by the forces of chaos, Beck implemented radical new tactics. He authorized commissars to form special inspiration squads, mobile units that rushed from one hotspot to another, bolstering wavering lines with a combination of fiery oratory and precise bolt pistol executions. Beck's crowning achievement came during the siege of Kasr Galen. As Chaos Space Marines breached the outer defenses, mass panic threatened to unravel the entire defensive line. In a daring move, Beck commandeered a Valkyrie gunship, using its voxcasters to broadcast a speech across the entire war zone. His words, a perfect blend of inspiration and threat, galvanized the defenders. Guardsmen who moments before had been on the verge of routing now stood firm, their fear of the commissars momentarily outweighing their terror of the chaos onslaught. This event marked a turning point not just for the battle, but for commissarial doctrine as a whole. Beck's innovative use of technology and psychology set a new standard for the Officio Prefectus, proving that commissars could be more than just executioners. They could be the linchpin of imperial strategy. Another climactic moment for the commissariat came during the siege of Vervunhiv on the world of Vergast. Here, Commissar Ibram Gaunt and his Tanith 1st and only regiment found themselves embroiled in a brutal urban conflict against the forces of chaos. The siege tested the very limits of what commissars could achieve in the field. Gaunt's unorthodox approach to his role reached its apex during the final days of the siege. Faced with dwindling supplies and mounting casualties, he made the controversial decision to integrate civilian militia into his command structure. This move, seen by many as a deviation from standard imperial doctrine, proved to be a masterstroke. By personally leading from the front and inspiring both soldiers and civilians alike, Gaunt transformed a desperate last stand into a defining victory. His actions during the siege, particularly his daring assault on the enemy's command center, became legendary. Stories of a commissar who led not through fear, but through example and tactical brilliance spread throughout the Imperium, challenging long-held notions about the role of political officers. The Vervunhiv campaign showcased the potential for commissars to transcend their traditional roles, becoming true military leaders in their own right. It sparked debates within the Officio Prefectus about the future direction of commissarial training and doctrine. Perhaps the most iconic climax of commissar influence came during the Second War for Armageddon, personified in the legendary figure of Commissar Sebastian Yarrick. As Orc war boss Gazikul Thraka's Wah threatened to overwhelm the Hive world, Yarrick's actions elevated the status of commissars to near-mythic proportions. Yarrick's stand at Hive Hades became the stuff of imperial legend. Severely wounded and facing an overwhelming Orc horde, Yarrick refused evacuation. Instead, he had his own critically injured body wired directly into the Hive's defense systems. For days, he directed the defense from this improvised command throne, his indomitable will keeping the defenders fighting long past the point where any rational assessment would have called for retreat. The sight of the old commissar, half dead yet unbowed, firing his pistol one-handed at the advancing greenskins, inspired acts of heroism across the entire war zone. Stories of his defiance spread like wildfire through the Imperial lines. Soldiers who had been on the verge of breaking suddenly found new reserves of courage, fueled by the knowledge that if an aging commissar could stand against the green tide, so could they. Yarrick's most climactic moment came in his legendary duel with Gazikul himself. Though the details have been obscured by time and propaganda, the image of a single human commissar standing toe-to-toe with one of the most feared Orc war bosses in history captured the imagination of the entire Imperium. The aftermath of this conflict saw a surge in both recruitment and respect for the commissariat. Yarrick's example set a new aspirational standard for what a commissar could be, not just an enforcer of discipline, but a true hero of the Imperium, capable of turning the tide of entire wars through sheer force of will. These climactic moments, Beck's innovative tactics on Cadia, Gaunt's unorthodox leadership on Vergast, and Yarrick's legendary stand on Armageddon collectively represent the pinnacle of commissar influence in the 41st millennium. They showcase the full spectrum of what these officers can achieve, from tactical innovation to inspirational leadership to near-superhuman feats of endurance. In the wake of these events, the perception of commissars throughout the Imperium underwent a subtle but significant shift. While still feared and respected for their uncompromising nature, they began to be seen as potential saviors as well as executioners. This evolution in their image brought with it new challenges and expectations, setting the stage for the future development of the Officio Prefectus. The climax of commissar influence, therefore, is not just about individual heroic moments, but about the broader impact these moments had on imperial culture and military doctrine. It represents a point where the commissariat transcended its original purpose, becoming a fundamental cornerstone of the Imperium's ability to face the myriad threats of a hostile galaxy. The far-reaching consequences of the commissariat's most pivotal moments reverberated throughout the Imperium, reshaping military doctrine, cultural perceptions, and the very fabric of imperial society. These results, both immediate and long-term, paint a complex picture of the commissar's evolving role in the grim darkness of the far future. In the aftermath of Commissar General Jameis Beck's innovative tactics during the defense of Cadia, the Officio Prefectus underwent a significant paradigm shift. Beck's use of inspiration squads and mass vox-casted speeches sparked a revolution in commissarial training protocols. The Schola Progenium began incorporating advanced courses in mass psychology and propaganda techniques, producing a new generation of commissars equally adept at inspiring courage as they were at instilling fear. This evolution in training bore fruit across countless battlefields. Reports flooded in from various war zones of commissars employing similar tactics to great effect. On the desert world of Talarn, Commissar Vance Thorn used a captured Orc Stompa's loudspeakers to rally scattered Imperial forces, turning a rout into a decisive victory. In the void battles above Hydrafer, Commissar Alara Kane's ship-to-ship transmissions kept a beleaguered Navy task force fighting long enough for reinforcements to arrive, despite catastrophic losses. The success of these tactics led to the creation of a specialized division within the commissariat, the Vox Militaris. This elite group of officers specialized in mass communication and morale management on a planetary scale. Their deployment became a common feature in large-scale Imperial campaigns, markedly increasing the overall effectiveness of Imperial Guard forces. However, this shift in focus was not without its detractors. Traditionalists within the commissariat argued that these new methods undermined the fear and respect that had long been the cornerstone of their authority. This internal conflict led to a schism within the Officio Prefectus, with different schools of thought emerging on various forge worlds and training academies. The long-term result was a more diverse and adaptable commissariat, capable of tailoring its approach to the specific needs of different campaigns and cultures. This flexibility proved crucial in the face of the ever-changing threats to the Imperium, from Tyranid hive fleets to Necron dynasty awakenings. The actions of Commissar Ibram Gaunt during the siege of Vervunhive had equally profound, if more controversial, results. Gaunt's success in integrating civilian militias into effective fighting forces sparked intense debate within Imperial High Command. Some saw it as a brilliant adaptation to the realities of total war, while others viewed it as a dangerous blurring of the lines between civilian and military spheres. In the years following Vervunhive, several Imperial worlds began implementing Gaunt protocols, emergency measures that placed commissars in charge of civilian defense forces in times of crisis. This led to increased interaction between commissars and planetary populations, gradually shifting public perception of these often feared officers. On Pretoria, this new approach bore unexpected fruit during a Genestealer cult uprising. Commissar Titus Gallo's familiarity with local militia structures allowed him to quickly identify and purge compromised units, preventing a planet-wide insurrection. This success story became a case study in commissarial academies, emphasizing the importance of understanding local cultures and power structures. However, the integration of commissars into civilian life also had unintended consequences. On some worlds, particularly those with a history of rebellion, the increased commissarial presence led to heightened tensions and resentment. The hive world of Medusa Fifth saw a series of riots sparked by overzealous commissars attempting to enforce Imperial tithe quotas, requiring Space Marine intervention to quell the unrest. These incidents led to the development of specialized liaison commissars trained in diplomacy and cultural sensitivity. While purists scoffed at what they saw as a softening of commissarial authority, pragmatists recognized the need for a more nuanced approach in an imperium spanning countless diverse cultures. Perhaps the most significant result stemmed from Commissar Sebastian Yarek's legendary stand on Armageddon. The tales of his defiance against the Orc Wah catalyzed a cultural shift in how commissars were perceived throughout the Imperium. No longer seen as mere enforcers, they began to embody the pinnacle of human resilience and devotion to the Emperor. This shift in perception had tangible effects on Imperial morale. Recruitment rates for the Schola Progenium soared, with many young aspirants citing Yarek as their inspiration. The increased pool of candidates allowed for more selective and rigorous training, ultimately producing higher caliber commissars. Yarek's example also led to changes in frontline commissarial deployments. High Command began assigning veteran commissars to the most critical and desperate war zones, recognizing their potential to turn the tide of seemingly hopeless battles. This strategy paid dividends during the Damocles Gulf Crusade, where Commissar Elena Castor's last stand against Tau forces on Sile Kel bought crucial time for Imperial Navy elements to evacuate millions of civilians. The Yarek effect, as it came to be known in Munitorum reports, extended beyond the military sphere. Imperial propaganda seized upon the image of the indomitable commissar, producing a flood of heroic Pict captures, stirring hymns and even children's tales. This cultural saturation reinforced the commissariat's position as a fundamental pillar of imperial society, making any criticism of the institution tantamount to heresy in the public eye. However, this deification of commissars also created unrealistic expectations. Many young officers, eager to emulate Yarek's example, engaged in reckless acts of heroism that often resulted in needless casualties. The Officio Prefectus was forced to implement new training modules emphasizing the importance of tactical judgment alongside personal bravery. In the centuries following these pivotal events, the cumulative results of the Commissariat's evolving role became clear. The institution had transformed from a simple tool of enforcement into a complex and multifaceted organ of imperial power. Commissars now found themselves serving as military leaders, cultural ambassadors, and living symbols of the Emperor's will. This expansion of responsibilities brought with it new challenges. The Commissariat's growing influence led to increased scrutiny from other imperial organizations, particularly the Inquisition. Concerns about the concentration of power led to the implementation of new oversight measures, including the creation of the shadowy Ordo Commissaria, a specialized branch of the Inquisition dedicated to monitoring the Commissariat itself. As the 41st millennium drew to a close, the results of the Commissariat's evolution were tested as never before. The Great Rift's appearance and the launch of the Indomitus Crusade thrust Commissars into roles they could never have imagined. On isolated worlds cut off from the Emperor's light, many became de facto planetary governors. In the Crusade fleets, they served as vital links between Primaris space marines and mortal soldiers. These new roles have set the stage for the next chapter in the Commissariat's history, promising further adaptation and evolution in the face of an ever-darkening galaxy. The results of their past triumphs and transformations continue to shape the Imperium, standing as a testament to the enduring legacy of these notorious yet indispensable officers. The ripple effects of commissarial actions have spread far beyond their immediate sphere of influence, touching numerous facets of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. From the highest echelons of imperial power to the lowliest conscript on a forgotten world, the impact of these political officers has been both profound and far-reaching. Within the Adeptus Mechanicus, the evolving role of commissars sparked a fascinating technological revolution. Inspired by the effectiveness of Commissar General Beck's vox-casted speeches on Cadia, tech priests of the Logi stack began developing advanced audio amplification systems. These vox magnificats incorporated psychoreactive circuits that modulated output based on the emotional state of nearby troops, maximizing the impact of commissarial addresses. This technology found applications beyond the battlefield. On Forge worlds, modified vox magnificats became tools for increasing worker productivity, their drone infused with subliminal hymnals to the Omnissiah. The development of these devices led to closer cooperation between the Officio Prefectus and the Adeptus Mechanicus, resulting in the creation of specialized tech commissars. These unique individuals, equally versed in imperial doctrine and machine lore, played crucial roles in maintaining morale among Skitarii legions. The Space Marines, though often operating independently of Imperial Guard forces, were not immune to commissarial influence. The actions of commissars like Yarek on Armageddon led many chapters to reassess their approach to mortal allies. The Ultramarines, always at the forefront of tactical innovation, began incorporating commissarial liaison officers into their command structure during joint operations. This shift was most notably seen during the Zeist campaign, where Ultramarines Captain Cato Sicarius worked closely with Commissar Lucius Vrain. Their combined leadership style, Sicarius's tactical brilliance complemented by Vrain's ability to inspire mortal troops, proved devastatingly effective against Tau forces. The success of this partnership led to the creation of the Zeist Protocols, a set of guidelines for Space Marine Commissar cooperation, now studied in both the Schola Progenium and many chapter fortress monasteries. Even the secretive Grey Knights found value in commissarial methods. After witnessing the effectiveness of commissars in maintaining troops' mental integrity in the face of demonic incursions, the Grey Knights began discreetly seconding selected commissars for specialized psychodoctrinal training. These individuals, sworn to absolute secrecy, became invaluable in preparing mortal forces for joint operations against chaos forces, their presence often meaning the difference between a fighting force maintaining its sanity or succumbing to madness. The influence of commissars extended into the realm of imperial politics, particularly affecting the Adeptus Administratum. The success of commissars in managing large-scale military operations led to calls for similar oversight in civilian sectors. This resulted in the creation of the Administratum Commissariat, a specialized branch tasked with ensuring efficiency and loyalty among the vast bureaucracy of the Imperium. On the hive world of Tertius Prime, Administrative Commissar Drusus Vex uncovered a vast corruption network that had siphoned resources from imperial tithes for centuries. His ruthless purge of the planet's bureaucracy sent shockwaves through the sector, leading to a wave of preemptive confessions and reforms on neighboring worlds. The incident highlighted the potential for commissarial methods to combat the endemic corruption plaguing much of imperial governance. The ecclesiarchy, ever sensitive to shifts in imperial power dynamics, moved to strengthen its ties with the commissariat. Recognizing the spiritual influence commissars held over troops, the Adeptus Ministorum began offering specialized theological training to selected political officers. This led to the emergence of preacher commissars, individuals who could deliver both the emperor's justice and his sermon with equal fervor. During the Plague Wars in Ultramar, Preacher Commissar Anastasia Thorne became a pivotal figure in combating the spiritual corruption spread by Nurgle's forces. Her fiery orations, backed by decisive battlefield actions, kept entire regiments free from chaos taint. The success of Thorne and others like her led to heated debates within the ecclesiarchy about the potential for a more militarized priesthood. Even Zenos races felt the impact of commissarial influence, albeit indirectly. Eldar Farseers, ever attuned to the ebb and flow of fate, noted the stabilizing effect commissars had on imperial military effectiveness. This led to subtle shifts in Eldar strategy, with some craft worlds choosing to manipulate events to ensure the presence of skilled commissars in key battles where imperial success aligned with Eldar interests. Orc war bosses, in their crude understanding of human military structure, began to recognize commissars as Daumi boss boys. This often made commissars priority targets in orc attacks, a dangerous honor that nonetheless underscored their importance. Surprisingly, this targeting had the unintended effect of further cementing the heroic status of commissars in the eyes of imperial troops, as stories of commissars facing down orc knobs in single combat became commonplace. The Tau Empire, with its emphasis on psychological warfare and assimilation, took particular interest in the role of commissars. Earth-cast analysts produced extensive studies on commissarial methods, seeking to understand how these individuals could inspire such loyalty and sacrifice. This research influenced Tau propaganda efforts, with watercast diplomats attempting to emulate certain commissarial traits in their interactions with human populations in the Damocles Gulf. Within the ranks of chaos, the impact of commissars was felt most keenly by the Traitor Guard. Many Chaos Lords, particularly those of the Alpha Legion, recognized the strategic value of these political officers. This led to concentrated efforts to either turn loyal commissars to chaos or to create dark mirror versions within their own ranks. The emergence of chaos commissars, corrupt individuals who inspired dread and fanaticism in equal measure, became a troubling development for imperial forces. The influence of commissars even reached into the shadowy operations of the Officio Assassinorum. Recognizing the potential threat posed by corrupted or overly ambitious commissars, the assassin temples developed specialized protocols for eliminating these high-value targets. The Calidus Temple, in particular, created a program for infiltrating the Schola Progenium, allowing them to monitor potential threats from within the commissariat's own ranks. In the realm of Imperial Navy, the success of commissars in ground operations led to experiments with shipboard political officers. While initially met with resistance from traditional naval hierarchies, the presence of void-trained commissars proved crucial during extended warp transit. Their ability to maintain crew morale and combat chaos-induced hysteria during long voyages made them valuable additions to many fleet formations. The Adeptus Arbites, responsible for maintaining law across the Imperium, found themselves both emulating and competing with commissarial methods. Many arbitrator cadres began incorporating aspects of commissar training into their own programs, particularly in the areas of crowd control and intimidation tactics. However, this also led to jurisdictional conflicts, especially in war zones where the line between military and civilian authority blurred. Even the mysterious Sisters of Silence, with their psychic null abilities, found an unlikely kinship with the commissariat. The unwavering dedication and often feared presence of commissars resonated with the sisters' own role. This led to occasional joint operations, particularly in combating warp-based insurrections, where the combined effect of psychic nullification and unshakable morale proved devastatingly effective against chaos cults. The cumulative influence of commissars on the myriad factions and events of the 41st millennium has been profound, often in ways unexpected and far-reaching. Their actions have shaped strategies, inspired innovations, and altered the very fabric of imperial society. As the darkness of the millennium's end gathers, the role of these feared and respected officers continues to evolve, their influence a constant amidst the ever-changing tides of galactic war. The commissars embody a rich tapestry of symbolism and themes, reflecting the complex and often contradictory nature of the Imperium they serve. These political officers stand as living metaphors, their very existence a commentary on the harsh realities of life in the grim darkness of the far future. At their core, commissars symbolize the unyielding will of the Imperium. Their iconic appearance, the long coat, the peaked cap, the ever-present bolt pistol, has become a visual shorthand for imperial authority. This uniform is more than mere clothing. It's a symbol of office that transcends the individual wearing it. When a commissar stands before a wavering line of guardsmen, they become the embodiment of the Emperor's will made manifest. This symbolism extends to their equipment. The bolt pistol, capable of executing a traitor or inspiring courage with a single shot, represents the duality of their role. It's both a tool of punishment and a beacon of hope, much like the commissars themselves. The power sword many carry serves a similar dual purpose, symbolizing both their authority to mete out the Emperor's justice and their willingness to lead from the front. The theme of sacrifice permeates every aspect of a commissar's existence. They are living examples of the Imperium's maxim that the individual must be sacrificed for the greater good of humanity. This willingness to sacrifice, both themselves and others, is a central theme in many commissar-focused narratives. It raises profound questions about the nature of duty and the cost of survival in a hostile universe. Commissars also embody the theme of human potential in the face of overwhelming odds. In a galaxy filled with superhuman space marines, terrifying Zenos, and the mind-bending horrors of chaos, commissars stand as a reminder of what ordinary humans can achieve through sheer force of will. Their ability to hold the line against impossible threats serves as an inspiration not just to the troops they lead, but to the readers and players engaging with the Warhammer 40,000 setting. The internal conflict many commissars face symbolizes the broader struggles within the Imperium itself. They must balance the need for compassion with the harsh realities of their duty, mirroring the Imperium's constant struggle between safeguarding humanity and sacrificing its soul in the process. This internal turmoil often manifests in narratives where commissars must choose between strict adherence to doctrine and more pragmatic solutions, reflecting the wider theme of tradition versus necessity that runs throughout the setting. Color symbolism plays a significant role in commissar imagery. The predominant black of their uniforms represents authority and fear, while the red sash and epaulettes symbolize both the blood they're willing to spill and the fire of their devotion. This color scheme is a visual representation of the dual nature of their role, both executioner and inspirational leader. The theme of faith versus reason is often explored through commissar characters. While they are indoctrinated with an unshakable belief in the Emperor and the Imperial Creed, Many commissars are also educated individuals capable of complex strategic thinking. This duality allows for nuanced storytelling, where characters must reconcile their faith with the harsh realities of the battlefield. Commissars also serve as a symbol of the Imperium's paranoia and distrust. Their very existence implies a lack of faith in the natural loyalty of Imperial citizens, reflecting the wider themes of suspicion and constant vigilance that permeate the setting. This paranoia is often justified in narratives, underscoring the genuine threats faced by humanity, both from without and within. The relationship between commissars and the troops they oversee is rich with symbolic meaning. It serves as a microcosm of the relationship between the Imperium and its citizens, one of both protection and control, of inspiration and fear. This dynamic allows for exploration of themes such as the nature of leadership, the psychology of war, and the lengths to which humanity will go to ensure its own survival. Commissars often symbolize the concept of necessary evil within the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Their harsh methods and uncompromising stance can be seen as morally questionable, yet they are presented as essential for the survival of the Imperium. This reflects the broader theme of moral compromise in the face of extinction, a central concept in the grimdark setting. The training of commissars, particularly the use of orphans in the Schola Progenium, symbolizes the Imperium's approach to maintaining its power structure. By taking children bereft of family ties and indoctrinating them from a young age, the Imperium creates individuals whose loyalty is absolute. This process serves as a dark reflection of real-world practices, inviting contemplation on the nature of loyalty and the ethics of indoctrination. In many narratives, commissars serve as a bridge between the common soldier and the more superhuman elements of the Imperium, such as Space Marines. This bridging role is symbolic of the human element in a setting often dominated by transhuman or inhuman entities. It allows for exploration of themes such as human resilience and the strength found in unity. The execution of cowardly or incompetent officers by commissars is laden with symbolism. Beyond its practical purpose, it represents the Imperium's intolerance for weakness and its willingness to cull its own to maintain strength. This practice also serves as a grim metaphor for the Imperium's broader strategy of sacrificing parts to preserve the whole. Commissars often embody the theme of transformation through adversity. Many stories feature commissars who begin as rigid ideologues but are forced to adapt and grow in the face of unprecedented challenges. This character arc symbolizes the potential for change even within the stagnant Imperium, offering a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak setting. The distinction between commissars and regular military officers symbolizes the division between political and military power within the Imperium. This separation serves as a commentary on the nature of authority and the checks and balances necessary in a totalitarian system paradoxically spanning 1,000,000 worlds. In some narratives, commissars serve as a symbolic link to the Imperium's past. Their adherence to tradition and ritual in the face of a constantly changing galaxy represents the Imperium's struggle to maintain its identity and purpose over millennia of constant warfare. The rare instances of commissars turning to chaos provide potent symbolism for the corrupting nature of power and the ever-present threat of internal decay. These fallen commissars serve as dark reflections of their loyal counterparts, embodying the theme that even the most stalwart defenders can fall to the very forces they oppose. Ultimately, commissars symbolize the human element in an inhuman universe. They encapsulate themes of duty, sacrifice, the corrupting nature of power, and the strength found in unwavering belief. Through these complex and often contradictory symbols and themes, commissars serve as a lens through which the grimdark future can be examined, questioned, and understood. The commissars of Warhammer 40,000 stand as some of the most intriguing and controversial figures in science fiction literature. Their role within the vast tapestry of the Imperium offers a unique lens through which we can examine not only the grim darkness of the far future, but also reflect on our own society and human nature. At first glance, commissars might appear as simple antagonists within their own faction, the feared executioners who shoot deserters and maintain order through brutal methods. However, this surface-level interpretation does a disservice to the depth and complexity these characters bring to the setting. In my view, commissars serve as a fascinating exploration of the extremes to which humanity might go in the face of existential threats. The moral ambiguity surrounding commissars is perhaps their most compelling aspect. On one hand, their actions can be seen as monstrous, executing soldiers for showing very human fears, enforcing a regime that values human life little more than as ammunition in an endless war. Yet, when viewed through the lens of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, where humanity teeters constantly on the brink of extinction, one can't help but wonder, are these extreme measures necessary for survival? This question cuts to the heart of what makes Warhammer 40,000 such a thought-provoking setting. Commissars embody the central dilemma of the Imperium. How much of its humanity must mankind sacrifice to ensure its survival? It's a question without easy answers, and the best commissar characters are those who grapple with this dilemma themselves. I find particularly interesting the way commissars serve as a mirror to our own society's relationship with authority and control. In many ways, they represent an extreme version of real-world political officers or ideological enforcers. By exaggerating these roles to their logical, if grim, conclusion, Warhammer 40,000 invites us to reflect on the nature of political power and the lengths to which governments might go to maintain control in times of crisis. The psychological aspect of the commissar's role is another element that I find deeply compelling. These individuals must constantly project an aura of absolute certainty and unwavering faith, even in the face of sanity-shattering horrors. The mental toll this must take on a human psyche is staggering to consider. The best commissar-focused stories, in my opinion, are those that delve into this psychological burden, exploring the cracks in the facade and the very human struggles behind the stern exterior. It's worth noting the evolution of how commissars have been portrayed over the years of Warhammer 40,000's development. Early depictions often leaned heavily into the trope of the ruthless political officer, sometimes to the point of caricature. However, as the setting has matured, so too has the nuance in commissar portrayals. Characters like Ibram Gaunt have shown that there's room for complexity and even heroism within the role, without undermining the fundamental brutality of their position. This evolution reflects a broader trend in how we engage with morally complex characters in fiction. Modern audiences often crave more nuance in their antagonists and more flaws in their heroes. Commissars, straddling the line between both roles, provide fertile ground for this kind of complex characterization. One aspect of commissars that I believe is sometimes overlooked is their role as a unifying force within the Imperium. In a galaxy-spanning empire comprising countless worlds with diverse cultures, commissars serve as a constant. Their uniform, their authority, and their devotion to the Emperor are the same whether on a hive world in the Segmentum Solar or a frontier planet on the Eastern Fringe. This uniformity helps bind the disparate elements of the Imperium together, providing a tangible reminder of the greater whole to which all Imperial worlds belong. The concept of faith, as exemplified by commissars, is another element that I find particularly intriguing. In a universe where gods demonstrably exist and demonic incursions are a real threat, the line between faith and pragmatic necessity becomes blurred. Commissars must believe fervently in the Imperial Creed, yet their role requires them to have a clear-eyed view of the threats facing the Imperium. This tension between faith and practicality creates a fascinating internal conflict that the best Warhammer 40,000 fiction explores in depth. It's also worth considering the metatextual role of commissars within the Warhammer 40,000 narrative. For players and readers, these characters often serve as a reminder of the setting's inherent grimdark nature. When a commissar executes a guardsman for cowardice or orders a suicidal charge, it reinforces the harsh reality of life in the 41st millennium. In this way, commissars are as much a narrative tool as they are in-universe characters, helping to maintain the tone and atmosphere that makes Warhammer 40,000 unique. The visual design of commissars deserves special mention. Their iconic look, the greatcoat, the peaked cap, the bolt pistol, has become instantly recognizable even to those not deeply familiar with the setting. This strong visual identity contributes significantly to their impact both on the tabletop and in the fiction. It's a testament to the power of effective design in creating memorable characters. One could argue that commissars represent a uniquely human response to the overwhelming threats of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. In a galaxy filled with superhuman space marines, unknowable Zenos races, and reality-warping chaos powers, commissars stand as a reminder of what baseline humanity can achieve through sheer force of will and unshakable conviction. There's something almost perversely inspiring about the image of a mere human standing firm against the horrors of the 41st millennium, armed with nothing but faith and a bolt pistol. The concept of sacrifice, so central to the commissar's role, offers a poignant commentary on the nature of war and duty. These characters embody the notion that victory demands sacrifice, a theme that resonates beyond the fictional confines of Warhammer 40,000. Through commissars, the setting explores the cost of survival in a hostile universe, asking uncomfortable questions about what we might be willing to sacrifice in the name of a greater cause. In conclusion, commissars represent far more than just another faction or unit type within the Warhammer 40,000 universe. They are a narrative linchpin, a thematic touchstone, and a vehicle for exploring complex moral and philosophical questions. Their presence enriches the setting, providing opportunities for stories that challenge our perceptions and provoke thought long after the last page is turned or the final dice is rolled. In the grim darkness of the far future, commissars stand as a testament to the complexity of the human spirit, its capacity for both great heroism and terrible cruelty, often in the same moment.